So to end Saturday night, right? To mark Mexican Independence Day, we are getting an epic boxing fight, right? A fight that's been talked about for a while now. It is Saul Canelo Alvarez against Terence Bud Crawford. And man, I think it was 2023, maybe, when Terence went on the Joe Rogan Experience and talked about, his career, right? Talked about, I forget who he had just beaten, or maybe it was in the lead up to a fight, but he was talking and saying that he wants, next he wants to move up and fight Alvarez. Right, because yes, there was a couple of good prospects. Ain't more than prospects, but people in the division. But the money fight, the legacy fight, was Alvarez. You know what I mean? And we weren't ever sure if it was actually gonna happen. And I think this was before the first Riyadh season. I think, you know what I mean? But, you know what I mean? Since the Saudis have moved into boxing, they have been able to put together these epic fights. These fights that we were never seeing. Because that was always the issue with boxing, that we didn't, a lot of the time in the modern age, right, see the matchups that you really wanted, because you've got what the WBA, the WBC, the IBF, the WBO, right, and they've all got their champions, right? So then there's always the mandatory, defense and just all of these different things. And obviously they don't want their champion losing to one of the other belts champions, but then right? So there's always this maneuvering, and it's just tiresome. It is very tiresome. But as I said, since the Saudis got involved, we have just suddenly seen a wave of these epic matchups. And there was talk that Canelo was going to fight Jake Paul, but then, boom, switched, and he's fighting Crawford, which is just incredible. Just incredible, right? So, when we look at this, Saul Canelo Alvarez, he is 35, right? 5'7" and a half. Right, he was born in Guadalajara, Mexico. He is 63, 2-2 with 39 knockouts. He's an orthodox fighter. He is currently the WBA Super, the WBC, the IBF, the WBO, the Ring, and the TRB Undisputed Super Middleweight Champion. All right, the Ring has him at number 8 pound for pound fighter. And he is a 4-division world champion. On the flip, Terence Bud Crawford, he's the older fighter, which I thought he was the younger one. But he's 37, coming up to being 38 real soon. He is 5'8", born in Omaha, Nebraska. He's 41-0 with 31 knockouts. He is a southpaw, right? He is the WBA Super light middleweight champion, the TBRB number 2 ranked welterweight, the ring number 3 ranked pound for pound fighter, and he is also a 4 division champion. So, man, it is saying this is being billed as a once in a lifetime, and there can be only one fight, which is essentially what it is, you know? Now, I think on paper, when you look at this fight, right, I think people would assume Canelo, right? He's the bigger of the two. Had more fights, you know what I mean? And we've seen oftentimes, it's like when Canelo moved up to fight Bebelev. I'm shit on pronunciations, people, you know that. Right? But when he moved up, it was a bit too much. You know what I mean? And it's the power thing, right? You can move up, but if someone has just got that power, you know, their punches are going to be scored more. You know, it's just one of them things. So that's the thing. And so they think that Crawford will run into that when he fights Canelo, because I think he's not moving up just one weight class. I think he's moving up, I forget, I mean, it's several. I don't, like, boxing can be very confusing with the classes, because where, you know, you've got the UFC, right? Welterweight is 170, middleweight is one. They're not actual, right? Welterweight in boxing is completely different. You know what I mean? And I think each weight class, there's not much in it. There's like 5 pounds in it, kind of thing, but it's not always the same. Now, it does then, I think, it makes it fairer in a way, because you don't have to, like, you know, in mixed martial arts, you have people that are cutting considerable amount of weight, right, to hit a weight class. In boxing, you don't necessarily have to do that, because there are so many, so there will be one closer to your weight. And we see people do these weight jumps when they've kind of cleared out a division, when you've won all the belts, right? Who else do you challenge? You know, I mean, you've beaten everyone, so the next money fight is the person champion the way up, right? So we see those moves, and it's interesting as fuck, right? It really is. Like, we get to see great fights. But this one, it's intriguing, right? Now, Canelo, like, I feel most people think Triple G won their first encounter. That was just, it's that thing that has blighted boxing, with horrible decisions, right? So egregious, it's like, yo. And that was one of them. Now, Canelo definitely won the next 2, was it? Now, wasn't, you know, walkovers or anything like that, but in those fights you could go, okay, there is a clear winner. And I don't think Crawford has been in that situation. I don't recall Crawford being in a fight where you just thought, I think he kind of lost that. You know what I mean? So there is that. And Crawford, he's a switch hitter. You know what I mean? He's got tremendous movement, tremendous defense. Like, the way he beat Spence was just, boy, it was something, right? It was pretty magnificent. So, there is the weight thing, but when you consider what Terence Crawford brings to the table, it's hard to go, I don't think he can do it. Right? I don't think he can do it. And, I think people felt that Canelo's last fight against William Skull was a little underwhelming, But I guess when you are so good, everyone does assume you will just walk through everyone, right? You will flatten everyone. But sometimes it's just like, you just win, right? It's what we saw with John Jones. That I think he was so good, it was hard to get up for just a normal level fight. And it was only in the real big fights, right? The second Gustafsson fight, the second Cormier fight, I mean, even the first Cormier fight, but, those fights, we saw John just really take control and just, the rise to being a champion, the way he just ran through people, right? Because those were challenges, but it's hard, right? When, the person you're fighting isn't essentially a huge name, and, essentially you should win that fight. It's hard to get up for it, but that's how some people lose, because they become complacent. So to be able to win those fights, there is something to that, right? There is definitely something to that. So, Canelo and Caleb Plant, right? That was the last knockout that he's had. But, boy, was it a good one? You know what I mean? That was a great one. So, Canelo, he has fought everyone put in front of him. And he is, like, I think he, right, what is it, with Billy Joe Saunders, I think he, fucked up his jaw or something. I think he hit him so hard, right? He really did some damage. You know what I mean? That's Canelo, people, right? That's Canelo. And he has beaten everyone. Everyone put in front of him. So, yeah. Oh, yes, he did beat Triple G 3 times. He fought Triple G 3 times, right? Cotto, Amir Khan, Liam Smith, Chavez Jr., Chavez Jr., just not the best, really, when it all came down to it. So, yeah, this is an intriguing fight, people, and I think, I think Crawford can do this, right? I think, yes, he's giving up weight, right? But I think, as I said, it's the foot movement, just the jab, the way he can just control the ring. I just think he brings so much to the table that can counterbalance that weight advantage. And the other big thing is, right, he hasn't fought as recently because he was using the time to put on the weight and put it on in a way where, you're building the muscle as well, and you're not just eating a load of pies. You know what I mean? That's what Crawford has done. So I just think Crawford has got the skills. If anyone is going to, step up and challenge and beat Canelo, right, that isn't already a huge person, right, like Bivol. If anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Crawford, people. It's going to be Crawford. You know what I mean? That's what I think. And I am I'm so intrigued to watch this fight. It's going to be so good. Because, yeah, like Errol Spence, that was such an impressive display. Such an impressive display. Like, August 2024, it is slightly over a year ago, but it isn't crazy. It's not a crazy big amount of time. So yeah, I just cannot wait. Right? I cannot wait for this fight. What a perfect way to, finish an incredible weekend of fighting and to showcase Mexican Independence Day. Right? So, people, who have you got? Right? Where do you think this is gonna go? I'm intrigued. But I'm taking Crawford.